Welcome to the Persecution Report. I'm Greg Musselman. Coming up, anti-Christian protests in Afghanistan. Mobs take to the streets calling for the death of Christians. Some members of the government agree with them. Also, the world's largest Muslim country is seeing a dramatic growth of Christianity, and that is causing some churches in Indonesia to face opposition.
We were terrified because we heard them shouting things like, "Kill them, burn the church, drag them out."
Those stories and more are coming up on the Persecution Report. In Afghanistan, the controversy over Christian groups in the capital has reached the highest levels of government. 2 Christian aid groups were suspended for allegations of trying to convert Muslims, an offense that carries the death penalty in Afghanistan. As we hear in this report, the accusations sparked protests.
Anti-Christian protesters have taken to the streets in Afghanistan for the 3rd time since the government suspended 2 Christian aid groups. College students in the northern city of Mazar-e-Sharif shouted anti-American slogans and defended Afghanistan's ban on religious conversions.
We want those who have converted from Islam to be punished. We also want the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan to ban all the churches that have been established and an organization spreading Christianity here.
The demonstrators shouted death threats toward foreigners who try to convert Muslims. Proselytizing is illegal in Afghanistan, as in many other Muslim countries. The Afghan government has launched an investigation of the 2 suspended Christian charities to determine whether they were trying to convert Muslims. Both groups deny the accusations, stemming from a national TV news report. The Church World Service says it does not attempt to convert people of other religions, and Norwegian Church Aid claims it was falsely accused of proselytizing. Both have been involved in Afghanistan for the past 30 years, working to improve agriculture, education, and general living conditions. Protest leaders demanded both organizations be shut down and their foreign employees brought to justice. The believers in Afghanistan right now are afraid for their lives, and they're asking for a lot of prayer. This all began when a video showing Afghan Christians praying, worshiping, and being baptized appeared on national TV. Several members of parliament called for the death penalty for any Afghan who left Islam for Christianity. Now they're compiling a list of foreigners and locals who they believe should be questioned, and 14 foreign NGOs say they should be investigated.
2 Iranian Christians are free after months of imprisonment and adversity. Police arrested Maryam Rostampour and Marzia Ismailabad in March 2009 for their Christian faith and activities. They endured 8 months of repeated interrogations and solitary confinement in Tehran's notorious Evin prison. Maryam and Marzia refused to recant their faith in Christ, even though doing so likely would have led to their freedom. They were released in November, but still face trial before an Islamic court. The 2 were acquitted on all charges and have left Iran. "I believe our arrest and imprisonment and subsequent release were the timing and plan of God," said Miriam. "It was all for His glory. The prayers of people encouraged and sustained us throughout this ordeal." Muslims recently ordered 250 Pakistani Christian families to leave their homes in Kanawal district, Punjab province, after believers strongly objected to sexual assaults on girls and women by Muslims. The majority of the Christian women and girls in the village work as servants in the homes of Muslim families, where they're often abused. The Muslim villagers came to us with an expulsion order only after Christian women and girls raised a cry when they became totally exasperated because they were sexually assaulted or forced to commit adultery by Muslims on a daily basis, explained a Christian political leader. Christians have reportedly refrained from going to the local police for help out of fear that false charges of blasphemy could be placed against them. We now travel to Indonesia, the home of the world's largest Muslim population. For the most part, Christians and Muslims live at peace. However, there are militant Islamists who are trying to shatter that peace and stir up trouble against the followers of Christ. In West Java, many churches are harassed, forced to close, and in some cases even destroyed. The bulldozing of an Anglican church by the local government drew even the attention of the media. 3 days after the building was destroyed, members of the church came together to hold a service under a tent. In this next report, we'll meet the pastors of 2 other churches in West Java who are refusing to let intimidation stop their ministries. Under the hot, scorching sun, these Christians come together for worship outside their shut-down church building in the southern Jakarta suburb of Bekasi. The Philadelphia Hurrier Christian Batak Protestant Church was closed down only hours after it opened in December of 2009.
Around 9 in the morning on December 25th, it was a Christmas celebration, but outside the church there was a group of Muslims that called out to the Christians inside to stop the service. There were about 100 policemen and military men that were guarding the church, and about the same time the mob was trying to get into the church, but the authorities tried their best to protect the church building.
According to Pastor Pulte, the mob was made up mostly of people from outside the area who were determined to stop the spread of Christianity. Since they couldn't get into the building, they tried to disrupt the service by yelling at the 500 Christians inside.
We were terrified because we heard them shouting things like, "Kill them, burn the church, drag them out." Most of the women believers were crying at the time because they were afraid. And some of the congregation who came late couldn't get into the church because of the Muslim people who made a chain and surrounded the building with hundreds of people. This persecution has caused our congregation to be united, but I can't say how long that we can stay united.
Over 250 Muslims gathered in front of the Bethel Pentecostal Church in Bandung during a Sunday morning service in January of 2009, demanding the church be closed.
There were some people who wanted to take advantage of the situation and to gain popularity among the Muslim people because of the latest tension between Muslims and Christians. These people were from outside this area. Even when the incident happened, some of these Muslim people knocked on the doors of the people here and said to come with them to protest about our church, but the neighbors didn't follow them.
And the reason for this is because Christians and Muslims here get along and respect each other.
The Christians are trying to make friends with the Muslims, and the Muslims are doing the same.
Pastor Jaman believes there are militant Muslims in the region that want to close down all the churches in the area. They wanted to start with his. One of the reasons the mob gave to justify their demands didn't make a lot of sense.
They said, "You can have your church, but many Palestinian Muslims are suffering." But I told them there is no correlation between the suffering of Palestinian Muslims with my church.
The mob was very angry, but didn't get violent.
They were yelling and trying to intimidate the congregation and me. They gave me a letter to sign that I agreed the church must be closed, but I didn't sign it.
Prior to the event, Pastor Jaman was in the process of officially registering his church under a new law with Indonesia's religious department. One of the requirements for registration is to have the signatures of people in the neighborhood show their approval for the existence of the church. They had 60 people, including Muslims, sign that they supported the church.
We had 60 signatures, but the Muslim mob forced the church to make another application and tried to persuade the Muslims in the neighborhood not to sign a letter, but they failed. We got 66 signatures.
Pastor Jaman is married and has 4 children. He worries about the safety of his family.
I have fear in my heart for my family because the leader of the Muslim mob has threatened my family, and I worry about them. A photograph of my family, my wife and children, has been posted on the internet on a website. It's making a problem in this neighborhood. They're writing false information, and I'm afraid that Muslims in this neighborhood will harm my family. A month after the incident, I received a call from someone who said if you want to have your church safe, you can pay us $500 a month, and we won't harm you or intimidate you. This person said he was in the group who demonstrated at the church.
Pastor Jaman ignored the demand. This event has caused his church to decrease in numbers. In the weeks that followed, around 100 of the 300 believers stopped attending, but others were strengthened in their faith.
I had been teaching my congregation about suffering even before the incident, but after that incident, many in the congregation were not ready to face the reality of being persecuted, but some said they were willing to die.
If you'd like to get more information on the persecuted church in Indonesia and around the world, go to persecution.net and subscribe to the weekly Persecution and Prayer Alert or sign up for the monthly newsletter. Continue to pray for our brothers and sisters in Christ around the world who are suffering because of their love for Jesus Christ. Remember, when one part of the body suffers, we all suffer. Goodbye, and God bless.
To learn more about the persecuted church around the world, please visit our website at persecution.net. That's persecution.net.